This is kinda creepy. Goosebumps rising up my spine. This is kinda creepy. Chills and thrills, the night is mine.
Welcome back once again to Kinda Creepy, everyone. I'm Jason Emmett.
I'm Casey Masterpiece.
And I'm Twisted Kid Matt.
All right, so we got another fun-filled, exciting episode today. We each brought our clips, I assume. We're talking about some paranormal and some cryptid stuff today, and then we're going to go into a story. And the story this week, we're going to actually take it back to a clip I showed a couple episodes ago. We're gonna tell you all about Fritz the Dummy. So if you watched episode 1, I think it was, then you saw the clip of Fritz, the ventriloquist head, and now we're going to tell you all about it. But as is usually the case, we're going to start with our clips. I don't know what order Matt put stuff in, so he's just going to surprise us, as is usually the case.
Yeah.
We don't know what each other brought. We're going to play the clip, and then we're going to discuss our thoughts on said clip. Matt, who are we starting with?
We're going to go ahead and go with your clip first.
All right. Well, let me give a quick introduction about what I know about this. So my clip actually takes place in a hotel. This is all through security camera footage and walkie-talkie, everything we're going to see and hear in this clip. They got a report in a room of screaming, and they send a guy down to check it out. I don't really have to tell you too much more because the video itself is going to tell you everything else you need to know, but you can go ahead and kick that off whenever you're ready. So 2003. So this is an oldie but a goodie. So you're going to see, yeah, they're going back and forth over the walkies. Everything they say will show up because you can't understand half what they say. So it's a room nobody's checked into, and they hear somebody screaming. And I imagine their first thought is like somebody's somehow broken into the room, right?
Sounds like a murder's happening.
So they send poor John down. John, go down, check it out.
He's like, I paid enough for this.
At first he was probably like, no big deal, until he got to the screaming.
Yeah.
John's like, okay, no problem, I'll wait.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, this gets crazy. It's crazy. Like, if this is any kind of fake, to me, it would have to be for, like, some found footage movie like this. So John's going to go in the room.
No. I like how they're like, we're going to hold for the police. Oh, shit. Okay.
Okay. Matt already caught it, which is cool.
Yeah.
Don't worry, Kev. We're going to let you see it again.
And the lights flash a little bit.
Which
could just be...
When you see it, I want you to pay attention to the hall. Like, to the
I just saw
hall. Because it moves all the way down the hall. It doesn't just, like, come out.
Oh.
On the carpet. Crazy. My only question is, why didn't John turn the lights on?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
In case you missed it. Yep.
And it walks down the hall. Like, it goes down the full length of what you can see in the video. Yeah. I don't know. Like I said, to me, if this is fake, it has to be for something like a found footage movie or something. Like, to me, it's just too good. And one of the things I really appreciate is if you, which I do have, we'll play in a second, like just that like little end piece. If you pay attention to how it moves, you'll see movement like a person type movement. Like you see where it bounces like it's walking. And like I said, it moves all the way down the hall to out of view, which I think is pretty creepy and compelling. So like I said, if somebody's faking it, they did a really, really good job. The only question I have is, why didn't John turn the lights on in the room? That's the only thing that kind of gives I don't get. But for all I know, this was already found. This is 20 years old. For all I know, somebody already found it to be fake. But it always creeped me out. And I always think to myself, if I get down to the room and I hear screaming, like if I was there and they were like, Jason, go check the room out, I would until I walked up. And if I heard that kind of screaming, I'm like, yeah, guys, not going in there.
Yeah.
Not opening
I'm
the door.
just gonna wait for the cops.
Yeah, you
It's
guys
all right.
are,
Hey, ma'am, sorry you died. Just, I'm waiting outside for a while.
Here's me, ready? Everything okay in there?
Yeah.
Housekeeping.
You want me to pop your pillow?
You just hear, get out. And you're like, oh my God, no. Okay.
Bye.
Enjoy your honeymoon.
Yeah.
I make $8 an hour. It was 2000.
Yeah.
So,
Y'all don't pay me enough for the. Yeah, that's true. Minimum wage was way lower than it is now.
yeah, that one just really creeps me out because I think about
Yeah.
that. Like, if you were working like hotels, I think about it all the time, especially nowadays. Like, we were driving back from our little mini vacation, and as we're going down the road, I'm like, there's tons of motels, and I think once upon a time those would have been crowded, but these days, you know,
Yeah.
they got to be mostly empty. And if you guys ever walk through a mostly empty hotel or something, and it's just creepy, and just because, so yeah, I think I would.
The feeling that somebody has been there before.
Yeah.
Just,
Yeah.
If anybody knows anything about room 209, anything about that, let me know. What do you guys think about that clip, though?
Pretty damn creepy.
Yeah.
I it could be fake, but I don't think it is.
How would
I'm
you
willing
have
to believe
reacted
it.
to that?
I would have shit myself. I would have just, dropped the trowel and in the hallway just left a big old pile of dookie.
Like I said, if I'd have got outside that
Spooky
door,
dookie, if you will.
heard that
Mhm.
screaming, I would not have gone in.
Yeah.
Not
Oh,
without
God, no.
somebody else
Yeah.
there. I would have, if I'd have
Right.
got there and there was no screaming, I would have opened the door.
I mean,
Because I would have assumed, like Matt said, like somebody's being murdered in there.
That's what it sounds like.
oh yeah,
That's not the kind of thing
straight
I
up murdered.
so I don't
Well,
know.
what about were there anybody else in the other rooms next to that one?
I don't know.
Like, did they?
I think that might have been why they got reported.
Somebody reported the screaming, but I
Yeah.
don't. Yeah. All right. What do we got next, Matt? What do we got next?
Next, we're gonna go into Kevin's clip.
All
so,
right.
Yeah. What you got?
JC, what do you got here?
All right. This is just a tiny little snippet of some person in the hallway, and all of a sudden, a picture frame starts to act a little weird.
Yeah.
So, see if you guys think it's haunted or
Yeah.
not.
See if you notice anything.
Yeah.
Some funky music.
Yeah.
That's it. That's the only picture frame.
Yeah.
So
just the
yeah.
one.
Why do we know anything like why they were filming or?
I think they had been hearing things in the house in the hallway and kind of wanted to check on it. But yeah, I do have a question about that clip though.
No, shoot.
So I'm gonna see if I can pause it. Maybe I can pause it. Why can't I pause it? All right. So who is that in the background?
That's
in the
why I was
corner?
like, is that a person or is that just like a?
I think that might be a reflection of the person filming. Maybe.
Doesn't really seem to move.
Or is it a cardboard cutout? Like that's the questions I have is who
So
is
here's-
that?
So there's a vacuum. I don't know. It almost looks like a cutout or something to me.
See, I think it's somebody
Yeah.
holding like an old school camcorder up.
That's what it looks like to me.
So I have a couple of things here. Whenever I only see one thing move, it always makes me suspicious. Like that's easy to rig
Like,
up.
could be some string. Yeah.
And this would be easy to rig up because of the direction it gets pulled in, only one direction. And
Right.
it doesn't come off the wall, which I can tell you, any picture in my house, if you pull it that hard, it's coming off the wall. But
Yeah.
the only thing about that if you see where the picture frame is, there's a wall directly across from it. So I don't know who would be pulling the string and how, because it goes straight up and down. It doesn't go to the side.
Yeah.
So if there was somebody off to around the corner, it would go that direction. It doesn't. See, it just goes.
I'm
straight.
thinking like maybe like a pulley system could have been used with some like fishing line.
My question with that kind of stuff is how far do people go?
Yeah.
Because like that would be a lot of work. And if
True.
we've said this before, if you're going to fake something, do you just do a little bit to make it more realistic, or do you, since
Go
I'm
over
going
the
to do it,
top
I'm
with
going to
it.
go big with it? Like
Yeah.
that's always is a
Mhm.
question.
I mean, that's just way too simple to be fake.
I will say
You know
we
what I
put,
mean?
yeah, it's but maybe they're smart and they know
Yeah.
that. Like that's
I've always
Mm.
wondered why ghosts like to mess with small objects in the house and
these
just
are the
like
questions.
I'm gonna
These
knock
are the
this
questions
around.
I have all the time, man.
Yeah.
Seriously, like why is it this and that? Like
Maybe all ghosts are really cats and they just like to
and
mess with
I can
things.
finally make some picture frame.
Yeah.
Um
Like, wait, I can float
I
now?
can fly.
Hell yeah.
Um,
I'm gonna knock this off the top of the refrigerator. Yeah.
we post if you guys don't know, we post shorts all throughout the week, just different clips. And there's one that we put up a couple days ago, or probably a couple weeks ago at this point, but there's a Ouija board
Mhm.
and the planchette moves and then some other stuff. I think that video, my own personal opinion, I think it's fake. And I have my reasons for it, and this is very similar. The planchette moves, but it seems to only move to one direction, and then it gets pulled off the table. Then this little thing gets pulled off a table, and again, it pulls up and off, and it just seems like somebody's got it rigged to
Yeah.
pull.
Somebody's yanking fishing line.
Those are my opinions. This is kind of like that, and I only see one frame only going one direction, but it's the direction that it's moving in because it would be tough to do it in that. Doesn't mean it's not possible. It would just be harder to do. So
Mhm.
I also think it's neat to watch all the clips we pick to see what directions our heads go and what we think is kind of cool or whatever. So, but Matt, let's kick off yours. Matt, what do you got for us today?
Well, so this one's a little odd. There's this child that's been in an unfortunate accident, and he's paralyzed from the waist down. He's in a wheelchair, and
Matt just bringing it with the sadness, right? From the
yeah. So I right towards the end, just tell me what you notice. Okay. So he's rolling down this hill.
Yeah.
And he just goes off a cliff into a lake. Oh,
that was an alien. Yeah. I think that's legit.
Yeah, it's gotta be real.
I think that's real. I'm catching that
Kevin
doesn't know what it is. I was trying to keep it straight. Yes.
Is this for Mac and me?
100%. And you were so like serious.
You were just invested in it too. Like, wow.
I was gonna try to play it out longer, but Kev was so seriously invested in the clip that I'm like, how is he not going? What the hell, guys?
Oh, I'm sorry,
what, Matt?
that wasn't my actual clip for the record.
Thank God. Kev, we were talking about this. How did they put that in a kids movie? We were like, that kid's dead, right? Like on
he's
impact
gotta be
alone,
dead.
that kid's dead.
Right.
This is so vicious.
You give a kid enough McDonald's, you can push him down a hill, I guess. So.
All right, what's your actual clip? Give us a little introduction.
All right, so my actual clip is I'll actually just go ahead and start playing it here in a second, but it's a trucker who's like dropping something off at a site kind of like late at night, and as he's going, it's all dash cam footage.
This is a recent clip, isn't it?
Recent, yeah.
Okay.
As he's going to park his truck, his headlights go across something. He doesn't see it at the time, but when he gets out of the truck, he sees what he sees.
Before you hit play, I've seen this clip, and in all fairness, I didn't see it at first either.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and it slows down in the middle, and it'll show you kind of like, this is what you should be seeing. So, here we go. So again, it's a trucker driving, dash cam footage.
Yeah, he's going to like a site where they're doing.
Yeah. Pretty remote area as well. And yeah, this is not cut for time, obviously, but just a couple minutes of video. Turns, comes around. Yeah, whoa. What's that right there? Got some birch trees in the foreground and a large, hairy creature behind them.
I wish we just had some scale because it looks huge.
Yeah.
So according to what I've seen on this, it's they're kind of guessing that it's about 11 to 13 feet tall.
Well, there's some things they could do. See, that's huge.
Mhm.
And there's some things you could do because, like, the fence posts and stuff
Yeah.
come into shot afterwards. And if you knew how high that little blue gate was,
Yep.
you should be able to back it up and kind of figure it out with the trees. I mean, 11 to 13 feet. But what if it's like in the tree, like or standing on, like, I don't know what the area. This clip has been all over recently. It's
and this is what leads me to believe that it's very real. Is he gets out, sees something, and just runs,
and his vehicle's still running.
Yeah. He gets back in and just drives off, but his first instinct is not get back in the truck, it's run away.
So this is something I really will discuss more. We're going to do a cryptid episode here in a couple of weeks, but I get a lot of people are like, oh, they just ran. I wouldn't run. Yeah, you probably would. If you saw an 8 or 9 foot hairy beast thing out in the woods, you'd run more than likely. It would scare you. And from stories I've heard, man, that's real common. People get a sense of dread like almost instantly a lot of times. So when they think they see a Bigfoot, which I assume they're reporting this is allegedly a Sasquatch.
Allegedly a Sasquatch.
Or a chupacabra.
Yeah.
Or Wendigo.
Skinwalker. Or Dogman.
So that video,
all the things everybody says the things are.
That video has been pretty. I mean, it's been going around a lot lately, and a lot of people seem to think it's fairly legit. We've talked about this in past episodes, but I mean, it's his job. You know, you don't want to fake stuff like that on the job. You could get in a lot of trouble.
Yeah.
So that always leads a little credence to it, you know, unless his boss is like, let's do it.
Yeah. That'd
be gonna be good on TikTok.
We've all had that boss that might be willing to it's gonna be huge on TikTok.
Man, we're gonna try to business like crazy.
Albuquerque by Monday, but spend some time to do some TikTok.
You need some logs hauled? Call us. Sasquatch log haulers.
Well, hey man, we put up that Oklahoma Bigfoot one, and that was everywhere, and everybody thought it was real. Turns out it was just a fake video for a head shop. So, but apparently they were coming out right at the beginning trying to tell everybody that. It's like, no. I will say this: if they were faking it, why make it so big?
Right?
Why do that? Like, no one would think it would be that tall. No one's ever heard of an 11-foot tall. You know, everybody says they're 8-9 feet tall.
Yeah.
So those are our clips, man. As is always the case, we welcome your feedback. Let us know if you have any information on any of these clips. If you think they're real, if you think they're fake, that's fine. But let us know what makes you think they're fake. Say, I noticed this, or it just something feels off. Let us know down in the comments your thoughts. And if you have any clip suggestions, or better yet, you have a clip all of your own, you can reach out to us. We are kindacreepyshow@gmail.com. Let us know. We would love to check out any clips you want us to check out or play something. Or if you have a story to tell, let us know that, and we will take a look at it and see if we can tell your story here on the show, which leads us to story time here on Kinda Creepy. So, as you guys know who've watched the first, I just punched my mic. I hate when I do that. As you guys know,
actually did
it. Who have watched the first couple episodes, one of the things we like to do after we watch our clips is we tell a true story. So episode 2 of this, I think it was, so it would have been last week's episode. I brought a clip. My clip was of Fritz, the ventriloquist dummy, the head. And we saw, you can go back and watch that if you haven't seen it, but that head is on display in a case because it is reportedly haunted, and we saw the head actually move and whatnot. So I thought it'd be kind of cool to tell you the story behind that, but I wanted to start with a different ventriloquist dummy. We're going to tell 2 short stories this week. The first one is Marty, the dummy. We have a couple clips, pictures. These aren't actually Marty, but they're still kind of cool. So I read this story about a girl it's Marty and the dummy. Marty is actually the girl's name, not the dummy. So I read this story about a girl named Marty, and I thought it'd be cool to kind of tell you guys about the story I read. This takes place back in the 90s, when at the time Marty, she's just a little girl. Do you guys remember a ventriloquist named Edgar Bergen? and his doll named Charlie McCarthy.
Isn't that the father of Candace Bergen?
I want to say yes to that, but I'm not going to swear to it.
Oh man, wait, hang on, hold up,
Whoa,
hold up.
God.
Are you saying, okay, if that is Candace Bergen, are you telling me that he owned Fritz the dummy?
No. Two different stories.
Right.
we're
right.
starting with the story of
I'm
Marty.
thinking of Kirstie Alley. Never mind. Okay,
well,
I was about to go into something totally different. Yeah.
If you don't know who Edgar Bergen and Charlie McCarthy are, you'd actually probably seen them. Charlie, very, very popular. Well, Edgar actually passed away in the late 70s, but there were clips of them on all kinds of stuff for years. They used to show clips of them. Anyway, Marty, this little girl, she was a big fan of Edgar Bergen. So one day her dad's at this vintage like magic shop. It's a magic and oddity shop, and he's there and he sees this ventriloquist dummy. And he thinks, she's such a big fan. I'm going to buy this and I'm going to take it home to her as a birthday gift. So he buys it. Now, I personally can say I can't tell you if this story or whatever is real or not. But Marty claims that when her dad was buying it, the shop owner looks him dead in the eye, all weird, and says, when you put your hand inside, he's going to come alive. When you put your hand inside the doll, he's going to come alive.
Right.
So
Also, Kevin, how do you know these things? Yes, that is Candace Bergen's father.
It's just the way
You just know this.
He's a history book.
Yes, it is. I just looked it up, but
now,
man,
this could have just been something cryptid that the shopkeeper says just to say, there's like, this is a cool little cryptid story I'm going to tell him. When it comes, you put your hand inside, the doll will come alive. It's got doll eyes, So I don't know. But we don't know, right? He could have thought he was just being funny and clever. Who knows? Anyway, takes the doll home, gives it to his daughter, and she's ecstatic. She loves it instantly. It wasn't long before they start noticing weird little things. They would put the doll in a cabinet at night, like a closet or whatever. But they started hearing these little footsteps to the house at night, and they would go and check, and they would find the doll sitting out on the couch. And Marty swears that the doll's expression would change sometimes, even though, it's just plastic and she's not doing anything. So one day her uncle was actually at the house and he's visiting, and he ended up alone in the house for one reason or the other. And he hears his brother call his name from the living room, and he thinks, hey, they must have got home. So he goes down and he looks, and of course he finds the dummy again sitting on the couch. No one else in sight at all.
And he burns the house down and leaves.
Funny that you would say that. So it wasn't long before other family members start hearing their names being called out in the house, and these footsteps and whatever, they seem to be growing in frequency. So the family, they decide they had enough. We're going to get rid of the dummy. So this family is of Mexican heritage, and they are very deeply religious. So her parents decide they're going to burn it just to be safe. Her dad puts it in an outdoor grill, tries to ignite it, but it won't catch on fire. So they say, screw that. They tried cutting it into pieces, but they couldn't get the blade to go through this damn thing. So they're real frustrated at this point. They don't know what to do. They toss it in the garbage can. They haul it out to the curb for the trash man to collect. They're like, we're done. Garbage day comes. Dad goes out to retrieve the cans, and sitting there at the bottom of the trash can is the damn doll. Nothing else.
Damn.
So he goes down, he finds it still in the can, doesn't know what to do. They talk it out. They figure the most sensible thing in the world to do is what I think any one of us would have probably done in a situation like this. They just dug a big hole. They tossed the dummy in, poured cement into it, and buried it. And that was the end of Marty's ventriloquist dummy.
Yeah, probably do that.
I think
They just get muffled sounds from concrete. Just like
we always watch horror movies and we're like, get rid of it now. And so
Right.
I like that they poured concrete. They're like, what the hell is it going to do? It's in concrete. So the one I really wanted to talk about, again, we played the clips last week of Mr. Fritz, which is just the head of a ventriloquist dummy. And I thought it would be really interesting because I told you a little bit about the haunted part of it, but not really the backstory. And this is fairly tragic, but a really interesting story. So the video shows the head of Mr. Fritz in a glass display case. That case sits in a room filled with bizarre sideshow exhibits called the Freak Room. It sits beside items like a real executioner's sword. There's a pair of Harry Houdini's handcuffs, and they have like actual shrunken heads in this room. So that room belongs to Michael Diamond, and Michael wanted to give Fritz a good home, at least what's left of Fritz. He wanted to give a good home.
I'm noticing a couple symbols at the bottom.
Yeah,
there.
you're going to get a close-up of those in a few minutes.
Okay.
So Michael was given the remains by a militaria dealer from Liverpool. The man had heard of Michael and knew about his proclivity for odd things, and he thought Fritz would fit right in. So he told Michael he had discovered Fritz in an antiques mall in Myrtle Beach, and upon a bit of research into its origins, he decided he should be brought to the UK, where Mr. Fritz was placed in a display case in his showroom first. He then noticed weird things begin to happen, like he would leave for the night and come in the next morning, and the case would be open. Once, even after he tried taping the case shut, and he still came in, and it was the tape had been ripped off, and the case was open.
Nothing can hold Mr. Fritz.
So there were times when he would almost seem to have a different expression on his face when they came in. His eyes would be open when they knew for a fact they'd been shut, or his mouth would have changed positions. So eventually the guy takes Mr. Fritz and puts him in a shed outside because his grandkids were freaking out. They didn't like him. But then they come and they tell him, like, hey,
what? They saw it and went, this is terrifying.
It's terrifying, right? It's just scary. But then they come in and they tell him, like, hey, we were playing out by the shed and we hear laughter coming out of the shed, and we don't want to play out there anymore. So that's when this guy reaches out. He sees a TV show or something with Michael on it. He reaches out. And he actually gives him Mr. Fritz. He's like, if you want him, you take him. I see you collect this kind of stuff. So Michael accepted the doll's remains and placed him in his freak room. And right away, he starts noticing unusual occurrences. The case wouldn't stay closed, and on some occasions, the case had actually moved. Michael set up a camera, which is what we watched last week. Over a course of a couple of nights, he captured footage of the case opening, things like that. But there's an interesting story behind Mr. Fritz, the story that made the first man buy him in the first place, and the story that might actually contribute to the haunting of this ventriloquist dummy. So Mr. Fritz has been around for a long time, longer than any of us, actually. Between 1943 and 1945, he was used to entertain the Allied prisoners during World War II at Stalag 2B, which had originally been built to be a concentration camp, but they ended up turning it into a prison camp instead. So over 600 Polish and American prisoners were housed in this Stalag 2B, and conditions there were poor. Long days filled with like really hard labor, very little food. So prisoners would try to find ways to lighten the mood and entertain themselves. And among these prisoners was a former puppeteer and child's entertainer, a private named William Billy Booth. Right. So Billy ends up taking newspaper, potato starch, water. He got some ink, some pink paint that was smuggled in by a guy who had painted a bed for his daughter, and he builds this ventriloquist dummy that he names Mr. Fritz. And that's when Mr. Fritz first found life, entertaining the prisoners with jokes and skits. He and Billy would bring a small amount of joy to this dismal place for almost 18 months. I'll kind of get to that in a second. I mean, apparently they had gotten so good at this, even like the guards would come and watch and talk about how much they enjoyed watching Billy and Mr. Fritz. And like I said, about 18 months. But one day, Billy, alongside 9 other POWs, they're taken out to a field. They're told to dig a trench. When they finished digging the trench, they were executed and buried. And this happened just 2 weeks before the camp would be liberated. So, really, yeah. So U.S. and this is all legit. This is all real. So U.S. troops would free the camp on January 28th, 1945. And at that time, a fellow inmate who had been there with Billy and become very good friends with Billy, he decides he's going to take Mr. Fritz and he's going to take him back to America and give him to Billy's family, because he wanted them to know what Billy had done for so many people in this camp. So so we know the family had him for a while. After that, no one really knows what happened to Mr. Fritz or how he ended up in the antique mall and why it was just the head that remained and what happened to the rest of them. Nobody really knows. But he ended up in that antique mall where he was again purchased, and that's how he ended up where he is today. A lot of people believe it's just that it's the spirit of Billy Booth that inhabits Mr. Fritz today. Mr. Fritz, to the best of anybody's knowledge, has never done anything evil or so
then that kind of, God, knowing the backstory, the chains on it is a little.
Well, I think the chains were to
free
see
Mr. Fritz, man. Like,
well, I think the chains were to see if, like, is this door popping open on its own because they tried taping it, or is something opening the door? I think that was almost like a test. Also, I don't know that they knew when the first gentleman bought the doll. He did not know the backstory. They had to do some. It came with that little placard. That placard that you saw was part of it. And so they didn't. So they knew the name and they knew it had some ties to Nazi Germany, but they didn't know much else. They had to do some research and to find this story out, which I think adds to it, and it makes it's less creepy.
It's less creepy now, but I could totally see why it would be considered haunted. And
oh well, I mean, look at the damn thing. It's just, I mean, thank you for your service, Mr. Fritz. But,
but why you gotta look so creepy, man?
Right.
But now also, he's made out of newspaper cornstarch and pink paint. It was smuggled into him.
Yeah, somebody made a paper mache doll,
essentially, with the working mechanisms and everything, which is really amazing. And to know that for a year and a half, Mr. Fritz and Billy entertained the troops as best they could to try to lighten the mood. So it's very sad to know 2 weeks before. Yeah. So I once I kind of learned a little more about the backstory, I thought it would be really interesting to kind of let you guys know the backstory behind it. Because when I played the clip a couple weeks ago, I knew very little. Just that it had been picked up in an oddity shop or in an antique mall and then given them to this other guy, and didn't know the backstory. So I think it's very cool. And so there you go. There's the story of Marty and her ventriloquist doll and Mr. Fritz. And you guys can decide what you think. In the end, I love that the Marty's doll, they're like, screw it, we're burying it and we're pouring concrete on it. So I hope that's true. By the way, I hope that story's true. If you are Marty or know Marty, let us know. That would be great.
And years later, somebody gets on TikTok and digs it up in their backyard and is like, "What is this thing?
What is this thing?" That's how horror movies get started. You are right.
Why is this rug in my backyard?
Well, we have to bust open this concrete to see if there's treasure inside.
It's just a ventriloquist dummy. That's even creepier.
So there you go. There's our clips and our story for this week. We hope you guys enjoyed it. Hopefully everybody had a good time. It would really help a lot if you guys shared this show, shared the links, let other people know. Like I said, there's content all week long. We put clips up, just shorts, but you can watch different paranormal clips and let us know your thoughts on those. Let us know your thoughts on the ones we played today. Again, if you have your own stories or a specific clip you would love us to look into and talk about, we would love to do it. So you can drop us an email at kindacreepyshow@gmail.com.
Send a link if there's a video that goes along with it.
Yeah, if you have the link, send the link. Yeah, that's always very helpful. And we talk about everything. We're going to be doing a cryptid show, so I think the next show is all going to be cryptid stuff, no ghosts for that particular one. So be looking forward to that. We are on Facebook, we are on Instagram, we are on TikTok, and every one of them are Kind of Creepy Show, all one word. So you can find us. Come over to Facebook and join the Facebook group. I felt it coming and I knew I was going to say it wrong, so I just paused. Instead of having a stroke mouth, I just paused and was like, I'm just going to get this out in one fell swoop. Come over there and join our Facebook group. And people like we post some cool stuff, man. There's like a Kickstarter thing that got posted over there about like a cryptid board game. Some really cool stuff over there. So come join us there and take part in the discussion. I think that's all we got this week. Again, thanks for joining us. Please share, comment, like, and most importantly, subscribe. Go down there and hit that subscribe button. down there. If anybody knows what that references to, they either listen to our old show or you're awesome. So let us know if you know.
And if you listen to our old show, you're automatically awesome. So.
Yeah. Amen.
That's it, guys. Until next week, remember to always
keep it creepy.
Keep it creepy.
I was about to say stay awesome.
And stay awesome. That's it.
This is kind of creepy. Goosebumps rising up my spine.